By using oral history as a focal point of her analysis, Saruka illustrates that discriminatory informal policies implemented by the state in employment, academic, and bureaucratic sectors purposely minimize the livelihood and opportunities for Tamils. Her research won the N. Sivalingam Award in 2016, and she continues to document the systematic discrimination against Tamils upon arrival in Canada.
I feel like I'm already too short to be up here, but that's fine. Okay, so first and foremost, I want to thank all of you guys for coming here. I don't know if much of you had a choice in the first place, but thank you for joining us for some part of your Asian Heritage Month with us at York. I know some of you guys just had pizza, so I will turn the mic. So I know some of you guys just had pizza, so you're thrilled, or some of you are a bit tired, but I'll try to make this really quick and get you guys away from my voice as quickly as possible. To start off, my name is Saruka Pararajasingham, and I'm last year's N. Sivalingam Award winner. And I know that doesn't mean much to most of you, but that meant I got free money, and that's something I never complain about. But how I came to win the award is actually why I'm here today. So I'm a recent master's graduate from York's history program. And some of you are probably wondering why on earth would anyone do their master's in history, and sometimes when I was writing 30-page papers, I was asking myself the same thing. But to be quite honest, I do want to become a professor one day, and doing an MA was necessary for that. And during my master's, I was specifically looking at Tamils in Sri Lanka and doing an analysis of the Sri Lankan Civil War. So in specific, I looked at beginning and end points of conflict and how it challenged how we conceptualize the war. And I'll explain this further in just a second to you guys. But if you guys took out your phones right now and you Googled the Sri Lankan Civil War, you'd come across the first link, which is Wikipedia. We love to go to it for quick information, but unfortunately we can never cite it in our papers. And it'll tell you that the Civil War was a conflict between the government and the Tamil minority, which formed an insurgency, a rebellious terrorist group of some kind. And it'll also tell you that the war started in 1983 and that it ended in 2009. And this isn't the only website that'll do that. If you pick up a book, an article, most things will say that, and academic outlets tend to say very similar things. The war is over. But as mentioned before, my thesis for my master's questions and challenges beginning and end points of conflicts, and it lives off the notion that we must always question what's given to us, and what information is told to us especially. So for example, if we assumed, as Wikipedia says, that the war started in 1983, it would dismiss riots and the mass murders of Tamils that happened before that. And if we assume that it was over in 2009, we would accept the picturesque place in Sri Lanka filled with rainbows, and in reality that is not the case. And how I came to prove this was by doing oral histories and as a focal point of my analysis. And basically what that means is that I interviewed and I continue to interview Tamils that currently reside here in Toronto. And they can tell me about the conflict and how they experienced the war. So for most of you that are born in 2003, 2004, 1983 seems like a historical past for your parents or grandparents, but in reality, it's actually quite recent. And for that, in a way, I'm actually very lucky that I was able to interview individuals and ask them questions about the war and how it affected them. And the question that I felt that was the most important that I asked was, what was their first memory of the war or conflict? And the interviewees would tell me stories before 1983. And with that said, I'm going to read something to you guys from one of my participants. When I was 14 years old, I moved to the capital with my father to help him with his textile shop. Then one day, we went to open the store really early in the morning, and we saw everything was burned down. All the clothes gone, the store was blackened from the fire. We eventually found that it was the spiteful locals that couldn't bear my father's business being successful, and that's how the government made Sri Lankans hate Tamils. This incident happened in 1976, 7 years before the start of the Civil War. Which brings me to my point here today. Always question what you know and how you know. Question where your information comes from and what's given to you. I'm not here to wage a war against Wikipedia. That's not my intention here. But make sure you get to the bottom of how you get your information. And if I was to accept that the war started in 1983, it was destroy and dismiss the story that I just told you guys. And it would completely disapprove of this man whose father and him lost their store in 1976. And it would dismiss a lot more than just that. So it would forget the stories about women who lost their children, some even taken right before their eyes by the Sri Lankan government because they were told that they were terrorists. So those mothers probably never seen their kids again, and these are things that I want to remind you guys, always question. And when I say question what you know and how you get your information, I don't mean that if you're late for your 8:30 morning class, you tell your teachers time is a man-made construct, it's not even real. That's not what I'm saying here. I'm saying that be thorough with where you get your information, and I cannot stress that enough. And I'm sorry for the teachers if I just made it difficult for you guys to lesson plan going forward, because now your students are going to be like, is this information even true? Are you telling me the truth? Again, not my intention. And the reason that I'm so passionate about this is because, like I said, I actually identify as Tamil, and I want to be a professor one day. And my next steps would be to go forth with a PhD, which is something I'm going to be pursuing in September of this year at Northern Ireland. And if you guys are very interested in this topic, in 3 to 4 years, you guys can pick up my book. And with that, I will end off on this.